Hi, welcome back to the channel. Tonight I want to talk to you about a fault code that we've had crop up many times in probably the last 6 months. I don't think it's attributed to weather or anything else. I'm going to attribute it to age on equipment. And then I've got one good example of the root cause of that fault. And the fault code we're going to talk about is fault code 3559. And that fault code basically says that the ECM is receiving low or no signal voltage from the DEF dosing unit or the doser pump. The doser pump and dosing unit are the same part. Some people just call it different names, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew what we're talking about. In particular, I'm talking about the older style pump. That was the square box with the 3 fittings on it. There'll be a picture of it up here. And so let's take a look at some slides and information and what you need to do if you see that fault. We have a fault snapshot. This is an older example, but it was a unit that shut down over Thanksgiving of 2022, and we came back and took a look at it, and we figured out that 3559 is what was causing all the active inducements on the top section of this. And I've got the hours underlined so you can see that it was this all happened in like less than 10 hours. Next, we're fighting an issue right now in the shop, and it's a 3559, and it's random. It comes and goes. And this is the relay socket in the after treatment fuse box where the relay for the after treatment DEF dosing unit plugs in. So as you can see, it's pretty corroded. I pulled the fuse out that supplies that relay, and if you take a look at the prongs on it, you can tell there's something really wrong with this relay and fuse block. And as we continue, I looked at the key on the lid, and sure enough, that's the DEF supply relay. So the DEF is supplied by, in this case, the pump. So that relay was shutting down, and or the fuse was shutting it down and causing all these problems. In this same housing, there's a number of other fuses for other circuits. There's also the ECM power fuse in here, and there's an ignition fuse in here. So I've pulled other fuses out so you can see what the prongs looked like. The fuse block and the fuses are in what I would call just terrible shape. And this guy puts on about 2,500 miles a week. He's our out-of-town driver. And so we had to figure out what caused that problem. And there it is right there. That's the boot that seals up the wires that go up into that block where all those corroded fuses are. And if we're not tempting fate enough, that's just above the steering column where the front tire throws salt and everything else that it picks up off the road back in that area. So that's just a slurry of salty vapor, probably most of the time he's driving in the winters, if there's road salt down. So Cummins Engine Company has put out multiple technical service bulletins on fault code 3559. And one of the things that they say is they get a lot of the pumps back that are considered failed by the customer, and the complaint is that the pump shutdown was no good, when in actuality the pumps will test out okay. And they put the pumps on an engine in a test cell, system, and they'll run it for a week straight to see if they can find a problem with it. So they analyze their product to see if they need to do improvements, and they'll find that the pumps have no problem. Now, 3559 can be caused by a failed pump. There's a board in there. If it goes bad, you can get that fault. But Cummins says it's the wiring, not the fault of the pump unit. And so in this case, it wasn't technically wiring, but it was the fuse block, which is part of the circuits. So a good mechanic catches this stuff before it gets as far as this one did. When you open that hood, look for ripped boots, check the harnesses, look for where they're rubbing, things like that, and that'll stop these kind of problems. Some people spray the fuse blocks down with something to protect the connectors. That's a topic of a whole nother video another time. Whatever, but if you're able to catch it before it happens, then you don't have a unit down or somebody that lost a day's work because you're taking a look at it. And fortunately for us, this was a fairly quick and easy find, although we did load test all the wires. We did current load tests on all the wires between the DEF pump unit and the ECM. And then, of course, the failure was this block. We ordered a new one and we're installing it. So thanks for joining me on Engine Shop Joe. I'll see you next time. And please subscribe.